Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for November 1st through 5th, 2021. How are you doing? This is one of the most intense weeks, this couple of weeks of astrology. And now that we're moving over into the month of November, let's check it out. We are heading headlong into this new moon in Scorpio that's happening on the 4th, 5th of November. And this new moon in Scorpio is the beginning of eclipse season because the full moon in Taurus that's coming on the 19th of November will be a lunar eclipse. And we're feeling this as the North Node and the South Node have moved to 1 degree. So finishing up their time in Gemini and Sagittarius. So we're coming to the end of a big cycle. It's almost been 2 years with the nodes in this placement. And so this new moon in Scorpio happening this week is almost exactly opposite of Uranus in Taurus. So this is highlighting the revolution of wealth. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, speaking to higher vibrational frequency, connection to our higher self, our ancient wisdom, our records of who we really are. That is exactly the key to this revolution of wealth. So it's really important, supernova souls, that you understand the placement of who you are in these times. Of course, it feels like the more we learn, the more we discover, the more we study and research, the more questions we end up having. But the whole reason we got into this mess in the first place, in the way the world is because these records, our Akashic records, the story of who we are as a soul through lifetimes, has been stolen from us. And we're about to get it back. So many supernova souls have been feeling really beaten down, really heavy, really dark energies. And I just want to validate that is real. That's true. That's going on. But it is darkest just before the dawn. And those feelings have to do with who you are as a soul and the fact that you're on the front line fighting a spiritual battle that you may not even know is happening. But the message is that, can you let that energy and the psychic garbage that you're feeling in the collective, can you let that validate who you are? Because being on the front line of the spiritual battle means you're also going to be the very first to receive the revelation of great light that's coming. And the seed of this is inside of you. Because you as a supernova soul were there at the very beginning of this evolution. You saw the vision of what Earth is to become, the Eden star that she is. And we're going with her and leading the way for humanity. I know it feels like, oh my gosh, just making it through and getting through day by day right now. But the power of the role that you have played as a supernova soul is so incredibly profound. And so let this validate you, support you in standing true and standing up. Don't miss a minute. These are incredibly profound and powerful times that we're living in. And so hopefully that this can help. But we know that the sun has moved over into Scorpio. We're in Scorpio season, the season of truth, the season of revelation, the desire to go deep into the darkness and face the nitty gritty of what is still holding us back. And that's exactly what this new moon in Scorpio is all about. Being opposite Uranus and Taurus, Uranus represents, as the ruler of Aquarius, it's representing the memory of who we are and our ancient wisdom, our future self that we haven't been able to stay connected to. It's also higher vibrational frequency and technologies that have been hidden from us, very much connected to this prophesied golden age. So what we're being asked to do is to validate and honor all that you've been through to get you to this point, and stand up and stand in the light of truth that you are as a soul, and be ready for this revelation of light to begin to live in the dream. We know we're working outside of time here. I've heard of, everybody is reporting weird, strange instances of time. And, are we existing? One of the things that defines a supernova soul seems to be an ability to work in multiple dimensional frequencies. And this is happening more and more. It might be part of your exhaustion. It might be part of the heavy energies that you're feeling and working on this battle on other levels. And very frustrating that you're doing all this work on other levels, but can only access this 3D reality in your consciousness. It's the only car you get to drive. But maybe that's the key, because it's only from this place that we can make that leap of faith. We can grab a hold of that kernel, that DNA code that we have been gifted with as advanced souls that have already gone through spiritual ascension, already experienced light body. Is this why you've been so beaten down? Because you are on the front lines, leading the way of spiritual ascension? So we are being asked to take this leap of faith, be that fool, be in 0 point, give it up totally to our highest self that is in alignment with creation and God force, and affirm and reconfirm this truth. It's really important to understand in the Scorpio energy that we have been in an invisible war, and you've been fighting in this invisible war and might not have any idea what that really means. But like I said, you're also then in the front and the first to receive this massive revelation of light. And it's so glorious, and it's beyond what you can imagine. And you have this inside of you, but nobody around you has been able to validate this. And it's time for us to self-validate, self-soothe, stand up, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and be ready for the next chapter. Radical self-care is required as we have these powerful astrological transits that are inviting us to just drop all of the old stories. And that's exactly what's going on as we come into the third and final. These next few days are so intense. It's like, and maybe this is when we can go, okay, whew, it's so intense. Maybe I am in a spiritual battle. Maybe I am leading the way, but I'm going to put on that full armor of God, that light of truth, and stand strong and be ready for what's behind the veil of darkness. There is a great bloom of very intense dark energies just before the flip, the great reveal. Everything in the astrology is pointing to this golden age, this new renaissance, this age of Aquarius, which is really the descending of Christ consciousness right here and on a cellular level. And this energy. And it's natural right now. One of the things that's really troubling supernova souls is finding that you're generally a confident person without a lot of anxiety and spiritual faith. And yet that spiritual faith is being tested like never before. And finding ourselves in deep places of doubt. And what if that's just part of the journey at this stage? It has a lot to do with what's coming off this Venus square Neptune. We're just going to be feeling this for another day or so. So know that that's coming off. This is just ultimate confusion, deep vulnerabilities about feeling manipulated and lied to, and nobody around you that you can trust. And I know that's real. And it's not easy. But you have not been anything that you can't handle. And it's hard because it's like, I made it through all this, but I don't know how to make it through this day. But we have to let this validate where we're at in the journey and where we're at on the front line to receive. So this new moon in Scorpio is at 12 degrees, 40 minutes. 1, 2. 1 and 2 added up is 3. So we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4. Counting up. And an acceleration. You have to understand that we're just about to turn the corner. We have not come out of the retrograde energy, even though Mercury is now direct. It's still in retrograde shadow and coming into its third and final square. So we've been feeling this since yesterday, this third and final square with Pluto. And and Mercury's like, I'm so ready to go. Like, Mercury has been in Libra for a very long time now, almost 2.5 months. And it's very powerful because we have the third and final square with Pluto that's exact tomorrow. And then Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow the next day on the 3rd. And then we'll complete the energy of the square with Pluto just after that on the new moon. So, whoa, new moon in Scorpio, this really is a new start. And the energy that we're feeling it's the beginning and the end. Pisces represents the end of the zodiac, and we've been having a huge bloom of the energies of the Piscean age. And so, just keep that in mind. And this almost biblical experience, very much biblical, this time we're in, very much mirroring the book of Revelations and a descending of darkness on the earth just before the turning of the tides. There are so many conscious souls in the message I've gotten, masters of masters that have not even considered taking a body, wanting to be here at this time on the earth. And this is part of the reason where over the last few years and maybe 10 years, it feeling like, oh, I had this great connection to this guidance, to this teacher. I can't access it. And part of this is this lower matrix grid, but part of it is because they're in bodies. So they're not accessible in the way that we're used to. But are you ready to meet this person, these people, walking into your life and reflecting back to you who you are as that angel and that master that descended this far into duality consciousness, into 3D, down into the depths, so that you understand and can be there in absolute authenticity and truth for the people as they awaken? It's radically different. And that is the energy of Uranus. It's radical change. Uranus was discovered about the time of electricity. It's got this energy of a lightning bolt, of just this kind of disruptive energies. It's not disruption just for disruption. It's disruption of the patterns that no longer fit who we are. And this is exactly the energy of Mercury and square to Pluto, the structures of power that don't reflect the truth. And we're coming up against that wall again and again and again. In fact, this whole last decade has been about that. Interesting, we're getting this 10-year kind of mirror. So maybe interesting to look back about 10 years ago in your life and what was going on. So this Uranus and Taurus is about this revolution of wealth, this interruption in the frequency of what we thought, what we've been taught, what we've been programmed to think is wealth. Paper money, that there's no substance, there's nothing to back it up. This is the whole problem with the structures of our world. If we talk about the financial system, we have been just totally hoodwinked by this central banking system that says that wealth is this representation of wealth. Just like the power structures around religion are saying that they're the spiritual power. They actually have a hold on a power, using our energy to create the reality that they want. And we have to remember this. This has been going on for thousands of years, since the time of Atlantis. And so these powers, even though we haven't been able to see it, it's now about the darkness coming up, the excavation. And this is exactly the energy of these planets. Mars now in Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio, and Mercury will be moving over into Scorpio as it completes its retrograde on Friday, on the 5th. So this week is like an acceleration, almost like a slingshot, this Mercury retrograde, and so much we've gone through in these last couple of months, representing the last 20 years, representing the last 200 years, representing the last 2,000 years of the Piscean age. And it's like, are you ready? We can't go back in this any further. This is these divergent timelines. It's breaking our reality to have these divergent timelines. And so there's got to be a flip. And it's coming sooner than you think. So hang tight, keep breathing, keep loving, bring yourself as much as possible back into this dream that you came to live. And yes, everyone around you has been put in your life to make sure that you don't tap into that golden light, into that God code DNA. And so we have to self-validate and take that leap of faith and be in the dream that we know we came here to live and create. And even though you might have been beaten down, you're still been holding the light in a way you can't even imagine. And may you receive massive validation and accolades and support and understanding and honoring the role that you've played. And maybe this is that energy of Uranus and Taurus represents our self-worth and our self-value and wealth. Taurus is associated with wealth and astrology, but this is where we're asking, like, what is wealth? Because you can push papers around all your life and make a whole bunch of money and like have a whole bunch of stacked numbers in the bank. You can't take that shit with you. And if a flip, say we had a whole flip in our whole financial system, then where are we at with wealth? It's right here. And this is Supernova Souls. You came in with this incredible amount of wealth, soul wealth, and everything has worked against you coming back into and knowing and owning and living that wealth. But the system is about to change to support true wealth. This is the wealth revolution. But it's a big change to go from the deep and profound shame and low self-worth that's been programmed into Supernova Souls from past life traumas, particularly in the Piscean age, and flip into receiving the abundant wealth of your soul. But this is wealth. It's like you can have all the degrees and certifications and knowledge and learning that you want, but this wealth you've developed over many lifetimes, this whole evolution, and no one can take it from you. And they may have taken your life for coming and shining the light, but it only makes your soul light stronger. So this sun and the moon in Scorpio opposite of Uranus in Taurus is exactly this revolution of wealth. So what do we need to do to receive our own abundance? That golden light of truth that's hidden, maybe deep under suppression of what we've all had to go through. And we receive it by the excavation. It's like those scrolls that have been hidden, the secret teachings, the truth, in miles and miles of hallways under the Vatican, holding these truths to make sure humanity never remembers who they are and never comes into their power. So they can continue to feed on our power to create their reality. So we're excavating the scrolls of who we are. And so it's a very powerful time where amongst all this crazy collective energy that you find yourself managing and cycling in the garbage collector and the recycler, but there's hints and clues and messages that are coming through about who you are and your role you're going to be playing more specifically as we have this shift. So pay attention, don't miss a moment, as we have this massive acceleration happening this week of Mercury final square with Pluto, out of retrograde shadow, that Pluto resolving, that square with Pluto resolving, and then bam, out of Libra and into Scorpio. And that says, let's get real. Let's get real about this battle, because a lot of times there's comments and energies, and I totally understand this concept that, that whatever we are fighting with outside of ourselves is within us, and there really is no outside enemy, right? Except for that we are in a spiritual battle right now. And if you're not aware of that incredible and profound darkness that we've been fighting for all this time, then you may be your energy may be going to that. So it's a very strange time where we need to identify, we need to stand up in our righteous truth. We need to claim, drop the yoke of shame that has been put upon the Supernova soul from past life persecution. and stand in the righteous truth of who we are. You're an angel. And yes, we've all transgressed, but now it's time for us. We've all had to go against our true nature and against God to even exist here. But now it's time for that prodigal son to return home for the celebration. And so this Scorpio energy is giving us an opportunity to just go deep in these places and release this shame and understand what it's going to be like for the masses to recognize and realize how duped we've all been. And you could not be there for your people that are going to be coming to you if you couldn't have that true compassion, if you didn't go to the depths. So stop beating yourself up and stand in the light of your righteousness. If you're this sensitive and you feel in the way that I get a lot of feedback saying, how did you know, how I feel? Did you read my journal? Then you're a good person and you've done everything to try to not create more karma. And then why does it make sense? Why have you been so beaten up? It's like this feeling of like, feels like I have so much karma. Like, what did I do to deserve this? But there's another piece of this karmic story that we're missing. That sometimes you experience karma and things happen to you because you caused somebody else to feel that way. But typically for supernova souls, it's when you didn't stand up for yourself and your oppressors come right back in another form and replay exactly the way that you were oppressed in the past to give you that opportunity to get a backbone, to say, no, I'm not going to carry this burden of shame. I'm not going to carry anymore this karmic responsibility for what happened back in Atlantean age. And your intuitive power as an evolved soul, as who you are, it can't miscreate in the way that the psychopath narcissist energies, they seek out to hurt people. You could never do that. See, you're karmically evolved. And now it's time for us to stand up and own this righteousness. And yes, we all carry the shame. And maybe we do need to go to that place of repentance in a true spiritual interpretation of apologizing for where we have gone off, but then coming back as that prodigal son to celebrate with the Father. We all, when you were persecuted, supernova souls seem to have a pattern of having at least one lifetime of being targeted for being the light that you are. And if it was a public death, there's this energy of all this attention going on you and your soul being like, I must have done something horribly wrong. And we all took on the blame. And I've had this huge picture for years, this message that I couldn't quite understand, that when supernova souls, when more truth is revealed of the deep, dark evil that's been happening underneath our consciousness and hidden in our reality, then supernova souls will be taking off that yoke, taking off the burden. It's like you've been karmically holding the karma of the dark side. It's like that empath narcissist relationship where the empath blames themselves for everything. It says, oh, well, they're hurt, they're broken, I want to heal them, I can see that, and then trying to process the karmic distortions of that narcissist, which is never going to happen. This is part of a lot of times when we get really stuck in emotional energies, it's because it's not our own. We're feeling the collective, we're feeling the people around us. And, this has been something that's been a weakness. The people around you saying, oh, you're weak. You're just too sensitive. Guess what? The weak will inherit the earth. And the security force of the future, as we come back into our galactic experience of interacting with other races and worlds, we know there's more out there than we've been told. The security force, guns aren't going to do anything for you. The security force is intuitive empaths. That's you. You have the wealth of the world, and no one can take it from you. They can kill you again and again, and your soul light only gets stronger. And part of the issue is that once you have been targeted and killed for your light, karmically, that can't happen. You have a light of protection. And a lot of supernova souls feel like, they're not coming for me this time. Wait, what do I do now? And maybe all that, this is the darkness, maybe that needs to come to the surface for us to heal and release and step into our abundance, step into the golden age, is that fear of our own potential and power, and dropping all of these stories. And exactly that's the energy of Mercury square Pluto. So we have a big bloom of this chokehold on these timelines, you know? And now it's going to be shifting. And just in a couple of days, I know it feels impossible, like we can never get anywhere from this crazy trap of the matrix, but it's darkest just before the dawn. And the astrology is saying major change, right? Because in the time of this Mercury retrograde, that we started feeling this energy back at the beginning of September. Within that time, Saturn's turned direct, Pluto's turned direct, Jupiter's turned direct, and Mercury now is turned direct. And Jupiter and Mercury, Jupiter, the king in Aquarius, the Atlantean king or queen, coming back. The true, it's like we have all these stories of our spiritual movements throughout time, and that they've been corrupted. But typically, originally, it was of the light. And we got to get back to that. We got to reset, and claim the future that has been stolen from us through this deception. And it really all comes down to that. If we were able to access our records, like this whole manipulated matrix is kept in place by the fact that they know who we are as advanced souls, and we don't know who we are. And the fact that they stole the records, our own access to our past lives, and they even took reincarnation, the concept, out of the Bible, to keep people disempowered and in fear of death. Look at you, supernova soul, and everything you've gone through. Nobody can take that from you. So stand in that. We're about to have a great reveal. And you are, since you've been on the front lines of the battle, you're first to receive this abundance. And are you ready? And that's what this Scorpio new moon is about. It's like the depths of wherever that shame programming, fear programming is hiding in us still, but knowing it's a radical shift to go from that, the divine, the feminine in all of us, that high priestess who's been in the gutter and begging for crumbs and shamed and cast aside. And the medicine, the good medicine, called bad medicine. So that's quite a lot to go from that deep and profound low self-worth into taking your place in your rightful throne, the true stars returning. So this is our opportunity for this great reveal to start living this dream, because we know we're operating outside of time. The book of days has ended, meaning there's no more requirement of some sort of thing to fulfill karmically. That means that we can go, and we've all had glimpses of this beautiful energy that's coming in, but then it's almost like you get beaten down, like a punishment for going there, right? And then that's part of supernova souls. We've been so oppressed psychically. And it's like the Israelites who were led to freedom, but then didn't know how to exist in freedom. Stockholm syndrome. The gates are open. Can you go out? And you're not going to find the fear programming around your own power until you start to step into your power. And so the Scorpio new moon is like, ooh, deep into the depths of this misplaced shame and low self-worth, so that we can be ready for that golden age that's coming. So we can receive this revolution of wealth, and that the true wealth is invisible and has never gotten any recognition or validation. Not only that, you've been targeted and sometimes killed, abused, exiled, and still you're here. You wouldn't feel this beaten down feeling if you didn't continue to stand in the light. And you're not going to be attacked in this way if you were in the matrix. So congratulations. Let all of it validate you and give you the strength and the power to reclaim this wealth within and be ready to celebrate and own and stand tall and true in your righteousness, in the righteous truth of who you are as a soul, and being there from the beginning of this evolution and digging deep. It's almost like maybe the Scorpio energy, digging deep into the mysteries so that you can, and clearing all that energy so that you can receive and feel worthy of this great reveal. And so really powerful. And what's happening after this new moon is that Mercury's catching back up to Mars. So Mercury and Mars were together earlier in October. And now Mercury in that retrograde coming back and connecting with, catching back up to Mars, very, very powerful. And together they're going to square Saturn in Aquarius at 7 degrees, representing Christ consciousness. So it's like everything that's in the way of our journey into the light. And so that's really, really powerful. And know that we're in this final stage of this chapter. The whole astrology of 2021, and in fact, the whole last couple of years and the whole last decade and even like 12 years, resolving in December around the solstice this year. So we're in the tunnel. It's darkest before the dawn. And thank God you're here. And you cannot believe what they've gone through to try to keep you from knowing who you are. And you won't believe the strength of your soul to keep showing up again and again. And that does not go unnoticed. And can you put yourself in a position to stand right and tall and true and start living the dream that we know we're all here for? And I'll meet you there. So I hope to see you on the new moon activation. This is going to be on Thursday, the 4th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. So this is going to be, it's really cool when it works out to be able to do it right around the exact time. It's just like an hour and 15 minutes before the exact new moon. And for this Scorpio new moon, that's really important because this new moon has been a very traditionally, this time of year, traditionally a time of using the energies for negative creating for the dark side. And so it's really awesome when we can come together and hold this frequency of what we really are here for and who we really are, even though we don't know. You know, the more we learn and discover and ask, the less we feel like we know, the more questions, you know, the more answers we find, the more questions we have. And that's just part of the times we're in, because no matter how much you know, the word on the street is that we're all going to get our minds blown. So, but you can expand your thinking. That's who you are, Supernova Soul. So you're going to be playing, and you are playing, you already have played an incredibly crucial role. This evolution would be lost without you. So I hope that we can come together. And if it doesn't work in your time zone, know that we're working outside of time, and you can catch the replay right when you can. It's available immediately after the live event at the same link that you sign up. So the link you sign up takes you to the live, it takes you to the replay, and we can all be together there and bring our light together in this last bloom of darkness, and affirm and confirm our role in the light together. So that is going to be Thursday, November 4th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And I hope to see you there or on the replay. And thank you so much for being with me, Supernova Souls. It means so much to me to journey with you on this journey. And we're almost there. We're turning a big corner. So hang in there and it's a time for part of the Uranus and Taurus energy is a revolution in self-worth, revolution in wealth, and that requires a revolution, a radical, like the radical change of Uranus, a radical change in going from, oh, I feel like garbage and worth nothing and nobody gives a crap and I've done all this work and nobody wants to receive it, right? And then to that flip into this internal abundance and the world valuing that over anything. But it's also, so a big part of that is a revolution and radical self-care, tending to yourself, tending to your temple, being ready for what lies ahead. It's time for the week to be strong and forge through this last bloom of darkness and be the first. It's like I see us with these torches, and it's like I know the torch was lit. I know I've had it lit. I can remember, but it's and facing the darkness of that wilderness. When Yeshua went to the wilderness, that was just before the Christ event, the crucifixion and resurrection, and that's where we are. That's where he had to come directly and face Satan, which is the doubt and the fear. And so just know that blooms too. But it's an opportunity to make us stronger. And it's almost like we're pushing through with that torch, and we're going to be lighting that torch with this light. So don't miss a moment, and be present, be strong, and use the radical self-care as a way to affirm and reconfirm that beautiful gift that you are, because nobody else can receive you until you receive your own spiritual gifts. And so by taking such good care, and this seems like this might be a big part of the activation, receiving support and healing and love and validation to help us take care of ourselves so that we can be ready for the next chapter that lies ahead. So thank you so much for being with me. I hope to see you for that new moon activation. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.